The honourable member for Wellington, Halton Hills.
Mr. Speaker, the weather is getting cool and people are starting to turn on the heat. Millions of Canadians rely on oil and propane to heat their homes. The cost of those fuels, however, has skyrocketed. It now costs upwards of $5,000, $6,000, or even $7,000 a winter to heat their home. And now the government has put on top of that a carbon tax that will cost upwards of $400 or $500 a winter. People are getting desperate. Will the government listen, including to the Premier of Newfoundland and Labrador, and cut the tax on oil and propane heat?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
As we watch yet another disaster unfold that is fueled by global climate change, as the world is called to act on climate change, playing games with misrepresenting climate action, when the member well knows that the money that is taken is given back to Canadians and that the action that is taken is essential so that we have less Fionas, that we have less disasters and less Canadians that are affected by global climate change. We have to take action, Mr. Speaker.
Member for Wellington, Halton Hills.
Mr. Speaker, that government is completely out of touch. Emissions have risen each and every year that this government has been in power, except for the year of the pandemic when they shut everything down. A third of Atlantic Canadians heat with oil heat. Over 1 million Ontarians, 10% of Canadian households. When will this government do what other G7 governments have done and provide relief on fuel taxes and cut the tax on oil and propane heat that people are so desperate to use this winter?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Environment. I believe the honourable member for Wellington Halton Hills would like to hear the answer to that. The honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of the Environment.
Well, Mr. Speaker, as our House Leader said, it's absolutely astounding on a week where climate change has ravaged much of Atlantic Canada. The opposition wants to take a valuable tool off the table that is helping to reduce emissions and put more money in people's pockets. And be sure that, Mr. Speaker, we will be there to help Atlantic Canadians rebuild. And, Mr. Speaker, we will be there to help them transition from carbon-intensive fuels to greener energy. Mr. Speaker, we will be there for Atlantic Canadians.
The honourable member for Calgary Centre.
Mr. Speaker, economists agree that payroll taxes, like the increases the government is pushing on Canadians, are the most regressive form of taxation because they lead to lower productivity and jobs leaving Canada. That's not stopping this government from jamming these taxes onto Canadian workers. Inflation is eroding Canadians' ability to buy the basics, and the government is gouging more of their take-home pay. Canadians get to feel the pain of this government's reckless policies at both ends. Will the government cancel their planned tax increase on Canadians' paychecks?
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister.
Actually, Mr. Speaker, what Canadians need is for Conservatives to come clean with them on their plan to eviscerate our pension system. Their scheme is highly irresponsible. And you know who pointed it out this week? Rob Carrick of the Globe and Mail. He wrote, quote, "Canada pension plan premiums are not a tax. The CPP is the bedrock of a Canadian retirement plan. The Conservatives want to undermine the pensions all Canadians depend on. We won't let them do that, Mr. Speaker." Exactly.
We started off really well, and suddenly I'm not sure what happened. So, I just want to remind. I want to remind all the members. I want to remind all the members to look at their whips and follow their instructions. The honourable member for Calgary Centre.
Well, Mr. Speaker, in the last decade, payroll contributions under this government have risen by 13% for employment insurance and over 60% for CPP. And the last year has seen the effects of massive government overspending showing up in inflation numbers Canadians haven't seen in 40 years. Workers' paychecks aren't going as far. Now there will be even less in those paychecks. Given the harsh rise in the cost of living for Canadians, will the minister take heed and cancel the tax increase on Canadians' paychecks?
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, what I will do is tell Canadians the truth about what is happening with their EI contributions and their pensions. And what is true, Mr. Speaker, is that in 2015, a Canadian who earned $49,500 paid $931 in EI premiums. And you know how much that same Canadian will pay next year? $807. That's $125 less than she paid when the Conservative leader was the employment minister. That is supporting hardworking Canadians.
L'honorable.